in this video, I have a saying about giving a rat's ass that's kind of funny. That how can you give a rat's ass? The ass of the rat isn't yours to give, so let the rat keep his ass. Or you can pick up a rat and hand him to somebody else ass first, and yes, you're giving a rat's ass. And if the other person wants to accept the rat ass first, to give a rat's ass, you're sort of offering up the rat's ass, and it's up to the other person if he wants to accept. So I'll have another saying too, that in some certain things, that if a rat's ass should really be offered or even given about a particular subject. So that's what I say about tolerance to a certain thing. You can say sometimes you give a shit. There's some and I also have a thing where I say there's certain aspects of giving a shit or giving a fuck. It's not that I don't give a shit or give a fuck. It's there's some aspects of giving a shit or giving a fuck that I don't give a shit or a fuck about. And at any given time, when and where should a rat's ass be given, or a fuck be given, or a shit be given, or even offered? You know what I mean? So yeah, we have that motto there about when you tolerate something or other person tolerates you. That's where I say, let the rat keep his ass. You know what I mean? The rat's ass isn't yours to give. Or is not mine to give. Let the rat keep his ass. It belongs to the rat. Let the rat keep his ass. So that kind of tells you something about tolerance. You know, live and let live, even if you do it in a smirky, smart-ass kind of a way. Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. Today's video, I'm going to do a video on... What I'm going to do a video on is, once again, it's been a while, so I want to do it. I want to do another one just because I damn well feel like it, because I feel it should be done better. In case there's any things that I miss out, get a few digs in. And, anyway, subject matter for today is the laughable statements that people tell you when you say something somebody doesn't like. Laughable, how they tell you to educate yourself, whether it's in text or you constantly hear like YouTubers being told to educate themselves and how they retaliate when they're told that. But me personally, if I'm told that, I'm going to get to the point of the aspects of it being laughable. But for now, being the smart ass that I am and that I'm raised to be, I say, well, yeah, I do educate myself, just not in the shit you want me to educate myself in. Does that count? But when you're told to educate yourself, the real translation is educate yourself in their shit and every aspect of what you think. When they tell you to educate yourself, it's always their shit, and any other way to educate yourself should be banned, or you should not educate yourself in it at all. They indicate that it should be totally banned. You're not allowed to speak it, read it, think it, or take any of it in at all. But you got to take in all their shit and ask their permission for what to think. And there's different dynamics of the pseudo-authority that wants you to tell this, that tells you this. Everyone from the one that'll make a text comment on something that they say that they don't like, and they're actually a common person, just like you and me. They can be of any color, and you want to say, who the hell are they? I mean, there are different hierarchies, right? Some of the lowest ones, which actually try to talk down to you, or belittle you, or whatever the hell, or make their snarky comments, and when they're telling you to educate yourself, they're actually giving you orders, demands, or suggestions, if you will. They can be suggestions, orders, demands, and certain level of them, the ones that are commenters, they're just people like you and me. We should all be equals, and I regard it that way. And I will say, hey, I'm your equal. How dare you? Who the hell do you think you're going to talk down on me? Talk down to me, or talk down on me, or talk down to me just because I say something you don't like? And then who the fuck are you? When the minute they tell you to educate yourself or talk down to you, they obviously think that there's something above you, or some authority gave them the authority to talk down to you, and the authority they answer to. You got to ask them by what authority, who their daddy is, or who their mommy is, or whatever the hell. It's a laughable way of giving you orders or demands, or they want to dictate. I pretty much covered all the words that are synonymous with the suggestion that they can or have any means whatsoever to enforce it. You know what I mean? They have it's just an empty, redundant statement in which they have nothing, absolutely nothing behind them to enforce it, and there's a fantasy or a hope or a fantasy, if you will, that someday they will have the means to enforce it, and they will never enforce it themselves. When they tell you to educate yourself, somebody else, maybe they get after you to maybe enforce it. You know, it's always they'll get somebody else to do it and somebody else to want to intimidate you. But other than that, totally empty statement. It's to the idea of telling you to educate yourself. It's a suggestion, a request. Sometimes it's an order that you laugh about to try to give you an order or whatever the hell, you know. And anybody got this far in this video too, they like to say it, oh, the rhetoric of a conservative or on the far right, or whatever, or you're on the right, or you're conservative, you're a patriot. It says, well, I wouldn't say, yeah, people love to use that patriot. Patriots usually for the ones that sport all the gear. Some of them are posers. Not against any of them, not hating on any of them, but there's a lot of them that are posers. If it's of any consolation, and people don't like anything I say, there's posers on both sides. But I'd be like, oh, if they say I'm a conservative, do I look like a fucking conservative to you? Or you want to say patriot? Well, I'll put it this way: I'm not no communist. I don't give a fuck about Che Guevara. I mean, anybody in South America that makes a monument to Che Guevara, or get me a Che Guevara T-shirt that some punk college kid that their mama put him through college or whatever, or the government give them a government-sponsored college, and they're wearing a Che Guevara shirt or Che Guevara poster on their wall. Give me one of them T-shirts or those posters so I can fucking piss on it, you know what I mean? But if I can't piss on it on YouTube, well, I sort of can, but I can't show any parts. I put it on the ground, right? And then hopefully you see liquid falling onto the item, and take my word for it, it's actually piss, and I'm not using a squirt bottle, which, you know, that might be a better representation, you know what I mean? Because, well, you get the idea, but, okay, so yeah. I'm not against being a patriot, but but people like to play that patriot card or whatever the hell. Like I said, I'm not a communist, but I'm not pretending to be. So I got patriot over my head. So if any consolation, the far left, the radical left, there's a halfway, relatively decent part of the left too. I mean, you can go left on some things and be right on some things, but like the radical left likes to throw that in your face. Oh, you must like Trump. You must be a patriot. You must be this or that. You must be a racist. Oh yeah, you must be Nazi. Yeah, Nazi thing. You don't see no swastikas, do you? Yeah, I don't get involved with those kind of people, because there's people in that sector that you're not allowed to think or not allowed to say either. You're not allowed to listen to certain rock and roll or blues or old school funk, so that shit ain't for me. But anyway, the far right is a different thing. They don't like to say educate yourself to a point, but if it's any consolation that the punk kids of the far left are on YouTube, there's a part of the far right, which some of us that lean political right on things that were common people in workplaces, there's a part of the right that some of us don't like, which some boss or supervisor in a workplace, for example, with a beer belly and an attitude, You know, they're the kind of person that you verbally challenge them or anything or whatever kind of way. If you beer some asshole like Henry Rollins on said in one of his statements, a guy with a beer belly and an attitude giving you grief that got in his job and he's an authority over you because of who he knows or who he's related to or some other boss somewhere that yeah, if they if you're not intimidated by them, they'll threatening to fire you and then having the cops throw you the hell out or whatever the hell on your ass. The kind that'll be like, oh, you stand up to them, oh, they hope that it gets physical because they worship the police. Then there's a laugh when you bring up the police. You get the far right that don't like, say, some of us, even though we lean toward right because they talk down to us, right? But then any leftists watching us that are totally oblivious, the difference between them and the leftist punk kids that go to college or whatever, some communists, they don't like the police, but unlike the people that worship the police that I tell you about that are real far right or everything else, the difference between them and the far leftists who don't like the police, they, like I said before in other videos, they won't get physical on their own, threaten this or that, or talk down to you, and educate yourself. A lot of them, you have the alpha of the bunch of beta males, right? That they talk about. Awake, the YouTuber Awake with JP. He talks about beta males, and I actually have this thing where I say there's the alpha of the beta males. Even though you got a bunch of beta males, you got the one beta male that'll get real nasty and more your face. That's the alpha, but most of the time won't get physical. Those kind that, unlike I said, the people that worship the police and weaponize the police, the far leftists, if the alpha of the beta male, you stand up to him or whatever, he ain't gonna do shit to you, right? He don't get the police. Well, he'll get the police in a certain way, and he don't care if the police happen to do whatever to people that they don't like, but they don't like to get the police. They like to get the other ones that are their equivalent of the police. They want to do away with the police and get after you. You know, they can be both black or white. I'm not picking on anybody because of their race here. Not doing any Nazi rhetoric here. Like I said before, they'll get, if it ain't the degenerate gang wannabe black so and so, you know, with little steroids or whatever the hell. It's a lower class than some of the good black people we went to school with. If they don't get one of those, they'll get this maybe white guy sometimes on steroids, bunch of tattoos, a certain kind of hair shaving, different styles, variations of hair goes in and out every other year. I don't know, but those kinds with the white guy with some kind of hair, rap music in the car, maybe blast Eminem in his car, get him after you. Instead of a police car, you might have maybe a few white guys or a mixture of race, both black or white, you know. Yeah, the white guy that they'll get after you, the one that's white, like I said, usually some kind of tattoo and hair thing, and maybe Eminem blasting in the car, and whether they're black or white, you get what I'm saying. They're the equivalent of the police because they don't like the police. They don't like police brutality, but however, the double standard of the far left, the ones that tell you to educate yourself, that they, instead of getting the police, they can get these guys after you. But that brutality is okay. They can have them beat you up or whatever, but police brutality is wrong, of course. Oh, and they also believe that if everybody's called the cops, or they don't like the cops, but if the cops can do brutality on you, the cops can do brutality on somebody they don't like. They wish it upon you, you know what I'm saying? They'll wish police brutality on somebody they don't like. But they never, some of them will covertly call cops on people, but they don't like the cops. They rather not get the cops. They'd rather get their thug buddies, whether they're black or white or a little in mixture of both. And what pops into my head while I'm at it, you know, the little clip from Family Guy, you know, Brian the dog, and they put a cartoon of Rush Limbaugh, the late Rush Limbaugh in there. I have that playing in my head while I'm at it. Oh no, it's a multiracial gang with white people in it. After Brian the dog. Yeah, let's go beat him up, but not because of his race, because that doesn't matter to us. And Rush Limbaugh all of a sudden becomes a martial artist. And, because Rush Limbaugh saved Brian's life, oh right, I'll read a few pages of your boring book or whatever. You know, I might as well throw something funny in there. But the idea of somebody telling you to educate yourself was a point that the ones that tell you that they know damn well they have no means of enforcing it, and if they tell you in text and a video, they have no desire, let alone intention, to enforce it. They hope somebody else will enforce it. If they're outside of YouTube or anything online, they will not enforce such a thing on themselves. Like I said, that they'd rather have somebody else that get on you to enforce it other than the police. Because I said, once again, like I said repetitively, even if you don't like the people that don't like the police want to put in new police, but they won't be police per se. But they will have the license to commit the brutality on people they don't like. You know, I mean, yeah, brutality is completely okay. You know, police brutality is wrong. But they get their people after you. You know, in their cars and their pseudo gangster music or whatever the hell. Like I said, not picking on anybody, because of their race. You know, they're both black and white. But yeah, they usually there's it's a redundant, empty statement that they have no way of enforcing it. They'd like to be able to enforce it. They will never enforce it themselves. They want to get somebody else to enforce it. You know what I mean? And they indicate somewhere along the line that yeah, with your smart mouth, they like to get you canceled, or let's say financially ruined, homeless in a cardboard box, and maybe take the cardboard box off of you too. Yeah, you know, we hate you enough. We might grace you with a cardboard box and leave you with one of those. Or else we decide we don't like you. Oh, no cardboard box for him. Yeah. I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but yeah, the people that tell you to educate yourself. No, you don't really. Yeah, you can educate yourself, but there's a lot of things to educate yourself in that you should educate yourself in. And there's some stuff that you don't educate yourself. You just don't. There's some stuff that you don't go and educate yourself in just because somebody told you to, or orders you to, or suggested you to, or give you some kind of threat or ultimatum, that you educate yourself in whatever shit that they tell you to educate yourself in, or else it's like, well, or were you gonna make me? You know what? You got anything behind you to enforce it? So the idea of telling you to educate yourself is just, like I said, an empty, redundant words that are just thrown at you. You know what I mean? It's basically, they have a fantasy of it being enforced. The reality of them being able to enforce it is totally not there, non-existent. It's a fantasy in their minds. That's about it, you know. And the best you can do is, some of us are what we do. That's why some of us, you're told to educate yourself. No, you don't. You actually physically train in whatever you physically train in. Not that you're going to go and get physical with anybody, but most of the time, first and always, it's so you can walk around with a cocky look on your face, or a smirk on your face by some of these people, knowing that nobody's really gonna make you do any such a thing. You know, you can just laugh in their face or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what it really is. You know?